it's Anime Gamer, back with another video. Tonight I'm going to talk about breadcrumbing and benching in dating. There's a lot to get into on this, to be honest, and you know, it's honestly a very, very bad problem, you know, and so I'm going to talk a lot about this tonight. You know, like I said, there's a lot to get into, so kind of just bear with me. You know, breadcrumbing basically, you know, in a nutshell, is basically, you know, like it's a manipulative tactic, you know, kind of like gaslighting in a way, but, you know, it's a manipulative tactic, you know, when someone gives you just enough attention, you know, to kind of try to keep you interested. And, you know, it's just, you know, it's not a good way to be. It's not a good thing to do. You know, there's a lot of women who do this, to be honest, and, you know, there's even men who do it, actually, and, you know, it's just not cool at all, and I don't understand people who do it, to be honest. And you know, like another thing too is like this has like multiple like names, you know, but each name is a bit different. You know, it does have a kind of like some different characteristics with it. But you got benching, you know, named breadcrumbing. It's also called cushioning, you know, and basically, you know, like the way that it works is, you know, the other person, like, you know, they may send you like some intermediate messages, or you know, like intermediate messages that are like just enough to keep, you know, keep you interested, basically, you know, keep you interested, to waste your time, to keep you interested, but they're not really interested. And, you know, the thing is with that is, you know, these people who are breadcrumbing, who are cushioning, who are benching, these people, they've got other people, they've got other, you know, the women's got other men, and then the men who are doing it have got other women lined up. Now, this could be like on dating sites like Tinder, Bumble, you know, or whatever's out there. It could even be like on Facebook, or even in real life, you know, like it doesn't really matter, really, to be honest, but a lot of people are into this. A lot of people do it, you know, and it's like, that's not the way to be, you know, but, you know, also, they will disregard your feelings. You know, they will definitely disregard your feelings, and they will not care what you want out of the relationship. They will not care how you feel about the relationship, because, you know, to them, you know, if anything happens, falls through, you know, they've got a backup plan, you know, like a backup, like a, you know, like a number, like a, well, kind of like you know, it's kind of like, you know, if you're not my first choice kind of thing, then, you know, I don't want you. It's kind of like that, because they have multiple choices, you know, and they're sitting there thinking, well, you know, this one's better than that person, this person's better than this person, and, you know, that's not the way to be. It really isn't. You know, that is not of God. That is not a real relationship. And these people, they do not care about that. That's the thing. They do not care about, you know, your feelings. Like, you know, this person will not even consider your emotional needs or concerns, you know. So say you maybe want to cuddle or something, you know, and, you know, say you're a woman or something, or a man that wants to cuddle or something, and, you know, and then, you know, the man can't get the woman to cuddle, or the woman can't get the man to cuddle. You know, that's kind of how it works, you know, like, they won't do stuff like that. They more than likely they won't like show any affection in public, or probably not any affection, you know, like even in private. More than likely, I highly doubt it. You know, so. I mean, they might do it to a certain extent, like to make you just like deceive you, to make you think they're interested, you know. But in all reality, they are not interested. They do not care about you. They honestly wouldn't care if you died. Like that's honestly the harsh reality of it. And you know, it's part of being a narcissist. It's part of the matrix. That's what people do. You know, it's like, you know, people will be like, you know, oh, I got all these, you know, these men be like, oh, I got all these women in my phone, or you know, all these women be like, oh, I got all these men in my phone, you know, thinking, oh, you know, you can have anybody, when you know that's complete bull mess. You know, that's not true. You know, so, I mean, another thing, too, is, you know, that they will have pretty much kind of like, you know, sporadic interests, you know, and what I mean by that is like, you know, the other person who's doing this, who's doing the breadcrumbing, you know, that they may seem warm towards you for like a minute or two, and then they'll just turn cold. They'll turn cold, and you know, you'll really see them for who they are. You'll really see them how cold-hearted they are. You'll really see them for, you know, what their personality and how they act is. And you know, at that time, you know, it's time to bounce. You know, it's time to get out. It's time to leave the relationship at that point, because it's not going to change. It's not going to change, so don't try to change it. And you know, there's too many people who try to change that, you know, and like some other reasons people will breadcrumb, you know, is to get attention. They will do it to get validation, especially, you know, feeling inadequate. You know, like I say, these narcissists, you know, and people of the Matrix, and, you know, backbiters, gang stalkers, narcissists, gaslighters, they will do anything and everything to get attention. I don't care what it is, they will do it. And, you know, to me, that's just, it's honestly pathetic. It's a pathetic way to live, to be honest. And, you know, that they're not worth your time. They're really not worth your time. And, you know, just, like I said, it's time to bounce. And, you know, another thing, too, is like, you know, like in benching, you know, that they will, it's pretty much called like a potential romantic partner. You know, they'll keep a backup option while pursuing other people. So it's like, you know, say like you're a man and a woman will be with you, but you're the backup option, you know, in case the others fall through, you know. And you know, at that point, like it's time to get out. It's time to leave. And the same thing, you know, for a man, you know, for women, if a man is doing the same thing and he's got, you know, he's benching you and, you know, got you as a backup option, you know, it's time to leave. You know, that man is not serious. That man is not worth it. You know, and to the men, that woman is not worth it who's doing it. And, you know, also too, you know, with breadcrumbing is, you know, it's just, it's honestly pathetic, you know, because, and I'll tell you another thing, online dating has made this problem a lot worse, to be honest. Social media has made this problem to be a lot worse. And, you know, it's just not worth, you know, wasting time and energy on somebody who's breadcrumbing you. And, you know, it's just like I said earlier, you know, there is only one way to deal with breadcrumbing. There's only one way to deal with benching. There's only one way to deal with cushioning. You know, there's only one way to deal with it. And the only way to deal with it is to tell the person what you expect and give the person an ultimatum. Because, you know, ultimatum is key in this kind of scenario, because, you know, you got to have, you know, better communication. And if there's no better communication, you know, and they keep breadcrumbing and stuff like that in the relationship, it's not worth it, because it's only going to bring you down. And it's just, like I said, it's a very pathetic way to live. And I really don't understand why people do this. I mean, you know, like, if you're not interested in someone, you know, don't cheat, don't breadcrumb, don't bench, don't cushion, don't do any of that. Just be like, hey, you know, I'm not interested in you, you know, like, I don't think, you know, we could be a thing. And it's like, you know, well, it's not just dating apps. I mean, it's you know, it's social media. It's even outside of all that. Like, outside of all that, it could be at work. It could be anywhere. You know. And also, I'll tell you something else. Like, something else. Like breadcrumbing. What they will do if they're breadcrumbing is the other person will change the subject if the conversation becomes very serious. And, you know, that's when you know that it's time to bounce, because, you know, only you would have to be an idiot to stay in that kind of relationship, because, you know, if you can't talk about something serious with that other person, they're not worth having. They are not serious. They are not committed. And, you know, if that's the way it is, more than likely they're breadcrumbing. More than likely they're cushioning. More than likely they are benching. And, you know, another thing, too, is they will give very weird, vague statements. Very weird, vague statements. You know, the other person, you know, they may even use vague statements to keep you looking to the future, you know, like, and what I mean by that is, like, say they'll make, like, a vague statement, like, maybe possibly about marriage or something, and it's like they actually have no intent of marrying you. It's just, you know, they're saying, you know, very little to keep you around and to waste your time. And, you know, there is countless men that fall for this all the time, and there's even women who fall into the trap too, you know, with men doing it. And, you know, from what I've kind of gathered, it's more women doing it than men, honestly. I mean, I'm not saying that men don't do it. They do honestly do it. But, you know, it looks like to me that the women do it more, from all I've seen, heard, and read. And that's a lot. So, you know, I mean, freaking Iron Man. Yeah, you know, like I mentioned earlier, they also, you know, do what I was talking about earlier, is sporadic interests. You know, they'll say, like, something warm to you. They may say, like, well, you know, I love you or something, and then they will turn extremely cold. Like the next minute they hate you, the next minute they dislike you, or the next minute they may say something really nasty and rude to you. And, you know, that's breadcrumbing. And, you know, these people, you got to get away from them, because you're only harming yourself at this point. Like, I mean, because, you know, you could go off and find somebody better. You could go off and find somebody who's worth your time. You can go off and find somebody that, you know, will honestly truly care about you and not be like this. But, you know, like I said, the only real way to deal with breadcrumbing is, you know, you got to give them an ultimatum. If you don't give them an ultimatum, then you're just, it's not going to work. You know, you're not gonna get out of the situation. You know, you got to give them an ultimatum and say, hey, you know, if you're not serious, I'm done. If you're not serious, then if I can't talk serious with you, then we're done. You know, it's not going to work. Like, you know, but there's too many people who refuse to do that. There's too many people who are too scared to do it. And there's too many people who are honestly just put up with it. And, you know, also, I'll tell you another thing. Like, you know, when it comes to benching, you know, it's pretty much, you know, another thing is they'll maintain contact with you, you know, but they're not committed. They're not, you know, and they may send a text when they feel like flirting or suggest maybe like a coffee date or go out to see a movie or go out to eat or whatever. And, you know, another thing too is, well, you know, you'll think it's going all right, and then the bencher may drop contact for a while. They'll completely ghost you. And, you know, and then after a while, they'll suddenly start talking again. You know, and that's how it works, you know. So, you know, I mean, you got to ask yourself, you know, why would you want to be in that kind of situation? So, you know, I mean, I've had my fair share of narcissists. You know, I've honestly had my fair share of breadcrumbing. So, I mean, you know, like, the thing is like, you know, if a woman's cheating on you or a man's cheating on you, they're breadcrumbing. Because, you know, if they wasn't, then, you know, nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened at all. You know, everything would have been fine. But no, they chose to go out and seek someone else that was not you. So, you know, they've done broken the trust. They've done broken the bond that the two of you shared. It's over at that point, you know. And, you know, because if you're genuinely cheating and stuff, you know, you got to bounce, like you really do. And, you know, another thing too is like, you know, pretty much, basically, I'll kind of describe a little bit how it feels, I guess. You know, a person who's being breadcrumbed and, you know, being benched, it feels like, you know, it makes the victim very confused. You know, like, very confused, extremely confused, I would even say. And they would be in an emotionally limbo at the same time. Like, it's just a limbo of emotions. And, you know, that's the first thing I would say that it feels like, to be honest. And another thing, too, is like the victim will obviously feel like they are not important and that they are being treated like a backup plan. And when you're being treated like a backup plan and you know that, it's the same thing I said earlier. It is time to bounce. It's time to get out. It's time to leave because, you know, they're not worth your time. And, you know, another thing too is like, you know, this one's another one. Like, this one goes with honestly the first and the second thing I just named, but it really goes with the first one, I guess, more than the second one, to be honest, if I honestly had to, you know, say that. But they will also make the victim feel like that they are trapped into, you know, a cycle of unmet expectations and unclear boundaries. And, you know, it's just, that is a really bad way to be. That is a really bad way to feel, to be honest. And it is not fun at all. Like, it really isn't. And yeah, I know, it's crazy. I agree. It really is because, you know, like, you know, I had this one girl that I used to love a lot. You know, I've not really loved a lot of women in my life, you know, but, you know, I was young and fooling around. Like I said, I wasn't always a Christian, you know, so, but, You know, so anyway, this one girl that I love, she would constantly, you know, cheat on me with this other guy. And it's like, you know, like I mentioned in the other video last night when I was talking about rose-colored glasses, you know, that's what I had on. You know, I had on rose-colored glasses, and, you know, I could see the flag, but I couldn't see that they were a red flag. You know, pretty much rose-colored glasses will blind you. And I'm still going to make up a video about rose-colored glasses, but, you know, it's like I said earlier, you know, breadcrumbing, a lot of people, they do it to get attention and validation. And, you know, that is not something, you know, you talk to somebody for. That is not something you try to get in a relationship with just to get validation and attention. You know, and I'll tell you another thing. Another thing, too, is if a person is breadcrumbing, they will feel very uncomfortable with intimacy. That they will feel very uncomfortable with that. You know, and it's like, you know, I'm not saying that they won't give any intimacy. What I'm saying is the fact that they may do a little bit of intimacy, but you'll catch on, you'll notice like how they're not giving the intimacy that you want and that they should be giving. You know, and then you become conflicted about what they really want. You know, you keep questioning yourself. You know, you're doubting. The same effect as gaslighting. As a matter of fact, this is a form of gaslighting. And, you know, the only way to get out of this is to end the relationship. There is no other way, because they are not going to change. They are not going to suddenly think, you know, oh, you know what, this is the best option for me. They was just maybe like a backup plan, but no, actually they're the option. You know, they're not going to say that. They're not going to think that. So if you're sticking around thinking and hoping and praying that they will think that, they will not. They will not think that. And, you know, benching, I'll tell you something else, you know, benching can also result in like choice paralysis, you know, and, you know, when someone is juggling multiple dating options at once, basically, and, you know, that is not dating. That is not, that is being, that's kind of like being, you know, I don't really want to use the term, but you get what I'm saying, you know, it's just, it's not, I'm not going to say the term, but anyway, you know, the thing is like, you know, the bencher, you know, may like the person, but not enough to commit to you. You know, that they may like, you know, your company, they may like, you know, sometimes being around you, but they don't like you enough to commit. You know, so the real question begins to, you know, to be asked is, do they really like you in the first place? Because if they did, they would not be doing this. It's the same effect as cheating. If someone cheats on you, if they go out and seek a, you know, a partner, you know, and they're already with someone, then they do not care about themselves, they do not care about the person they're married to, and they do not care about the person that they're going to have an affair with. And, you know, and it doesn't have to be even in marriage, like it could be just simple dating, and, you know, that's, it's really messed up, to be honest. It's a really messed up manipulative tactic, but, you know, it's very common. It's very common, especially over here in the West, you know, extremely common. And, you know, it really makes me glad that I'm not in the dating pool anymore, because, you know, it was kind of hard, you know, when I was younger, you know, and it's gotten a lot harder now. Like, you know, it's extremely hard now. And, you know, I honestly really feel sorry for people who are genuinely trying to find, you know, someone to connect with, someone to spend their life with, and just to have, you know, have them be breadcrumbed or have them be benched, because it's just, It's just ridiculous. It's not funny. It's not a laughing matter, but it's like, I don't know. The word breadcrumbing, I guess, is just a funny way of saying it, I guess. But yeah, it's actually called that. But, so, others will say that benching, a lot of people will say benching is a red flag and it can definitely damage someone's self-esteem. I 100% agree with this because, if you're dating, say you're talking to someone, you got off a dating site, or you're talking to someone you met in real life, in person, or on the Facebook, or whatever it may be, and you're going, you're kind of hanging around this person a little bit, and it would make no sense to do this because, like, you're only causing your own self-esteem to be destroyed. Like, I know that personally because, that's kind of one of the reasons why I have low self-esteem. And, I don't really care to admit that, because, I'm not really trying to impress anybody. So, if you like me, you do. If you don't, then you don't. It's like, if you like me, cool. We can chat or whatever. If you don't, cool. I don't like you either. So that's just kind of the way I feel about it. And the reason they call it cushioning is it's like, they're using you as like a cushion. They're using you kind of like a couch cushion. They will lean on you and lay on you, when other things don't work out, or, try to do it enough to keep you around, keep you interested. And, they're not really interested in you. They're deceiving you. They're brainwashing you. They are gaslighting you. And yeah, it's just a very sick way of being. And, it's kind of like you've been, sidelined, it's a very toxic behavior because, they leave you on the sidelines and, they're not really, caring about what you feel, how you think, and it takes a very sick individual to do this too, to be honest, because, honestly, I'm kind of wondering if maybe like a lot of these people possibly aren't sadists, to be honest, too, as well. And, because why would why would you feel like pleasure? Like, it's like they feel pleasure or some sort of like sexual gratification from doing it, because, like, and they do sleep around like that too. That's kind of why I used, that term, because, that they are a sadist. They thrive off of doing stuff like this to people, and it's not a very fun thing to experience. It's really not. Like, I would not wish breadcrumbing on anybody, and it has risen to the extremes, with dating apps. It really honestly has, and it's gotten so bad, literally, like, I heard a guy one time say about dating sites, if they reply to you, they're fake. If they don't reply to you, they're real. I know you probably don't get that, and, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me either, but, it's a very weird dynamic, like, right? Like, it's a really weird dynamic because, why would you even want to do this? But, you know, a lot of people are breadcrumbing on Snapchat too, and you know, when you're being breadcrumbed, you know, the main emotions you will feel is you will feel confusion. You will feel a lot of confusion. You know, you will feel a lot of anger. You will definitely feel a lot of self-doubt and anxiety. You'll definitely feel a lot of loneliness. You'll definitely feel a lot of sadness and embarrassment. You know, and a lot of times, you know, when they're doing the good stuff, like, you know, trying to and deceiving you feel a little bit of hope, you know, but you know, it's a false hope, you know, and then, you know, you got inadequacy, and then you got self-consciousness, you know, like, that's honestly all those things there. I would sum it up to how someone feels if they're being breadcrumbed, because, you know, that I know that from experience. You know, and so many other people know this from experience, and you know, it's not cool. It really isn't. And you know, if a person is breadcrumbing you, like I say, just leave. You know, and you know, breadcrumb. You know, signs of breadcrumbing. You know, like I talked about earlier, it's, you know. It really, you know, they'll leave you confused, and, you know, you're kind of wondering at the same time when you're confused, like, you know, well, what's the status of this relationship, you know, like, what's going on here, you know, and it's like, you know, you'll ask that, right, and then you'll start talking about it, and then it's like, you know, they change the subject, they shut the conversation down, because, you know, they can't talk serious, like I mentioned earlier. When a serious topic is brought up, they will not talk. They refuse. And when it's doing that, like it's go. You know, and they may take weeks even to respond to your text, you know, because, you know, they're probably going out with someone else. They're probably they're texting someone else, obviously. They're probably definitely even seeing them in person. They're probably definitely even sleeping with them. They're probably definitely going on dates with them. So it's like, you know, just don't get in that situation. I understand that it's hard not to get in that situation. I get it, you know, because like I said, I've been there before, you know, but you got to recognize the signs too, you know, when it comes to that, because, you know, I mean, they shouldn't be sleeping around anyway, but it's like, you know, it's just causing a lot of pain. That's all it's doing. It's only causing a lot of pain, and, you know, it's causing a lot of anger, and, you know, they may even shower you possibly with flattery even. You know, that's honestly kind of what I would describe it. Like, you know, they'll even, like, perform some sort of flattery technique on you, you know, just flatter you up a bit, and then, you know, it's like they just go radio silent, you know, for like months. And, you know, that is a big ass waste of time. It really honestly is, you know, and you know, a lot of people know this from experience, but are too really embarrassed to talk about it. But, you know, it's not something to be embarrassed of, because, you know, if you've been through it and you understand all of what I'm talking about, you know, it would be cool if you would talk about it too, because, you know, raise awareness of it, because it's not cool, it's not funny, it's just pure stupid. And, you know, I mean, a couple is two, you know, a couple is not three, a couple is not four, you know, a couple is not anything but two. You know, the Matrix will tell you that 2 + 2 = 5, you know, and when it really doesn't, it really equals 4. Like, you know, and there'll even be some people that 2 + 2 = 3 is what they'll say. Like, you know, it's crazy. It really honestly is crazy. And, you know, when it comes to people like that, they cannot be trusted. They honestly can't, because, you know, there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you know, when this is going on, because, you know, they will not communicate with you at all, like on a deep level. They will not communicate, and their actions, I'll tell you, their actions do not meet their words. And if their actions don't meet their words, it's a waste of time. It's time to bounce. It's time to leave. It's time to move on, because, you know, I always tell my viewers, I always tell everybody, even in my life, actions speak louder than words. And, you know, like in my video, like yesterday, I was talking about someone that a friend of mine knows, and, you know, how she would just play the victim. You know, that's kind of, you know, the same thing, you know, in a way, because, you know, her actions don't, her words do not match her actions. You know, it's kind of like that, you know. If your words are not matching actions, then the words mean nothing. The words do not mean a damn thing. And, you know, I mean, even when you know, before I got married, you know, but when I learned about a lot of this stuff, I told, you know, I don't care about words. You know, I need actions. I need actions. If you ain't got the actions to go with it, forget it, you know. But, yeah, you got to do that. But, you know, another thing is, too, to start handling breadcrumbing, you know, you got to identify and label the behavior first, you know, and you can do that with the stuff that I just talked about. I'm going to talk more about it, but, you know, it's just, like I say, there's just so much to get into on this topic, like, because breadcrumbing is not an easy thing to deal with, and it's, you know, honestly, if you're being breadcrumbed, contact a counselor, because you're going to need it. You're honestly going to need it, because by the time they are finished breadcrumbing you, you're going to need some therapy. And I don't say that to be funny. I say that to be serious. Like, you are going to need some therapy, hardcore therapy, you know, maybe even some, like, anxiety drugs or something, like, you know, your anxiety pills or something. You're gonna end up needing something, like, because, you know, it can also cause a lot of trauma. It really can. And, you know, when you're dealing with someone like that, and you're you know, you obviously you're getting a lot of trauma off of it, and it's just like, no, you know, I'm good, you know, and I'm sure a lot of other people, you know, that'll probably see this video, whenever they do, they're probably good too, you know, and, but yeah, you will definitely need to contact a counselor for this, because it's not going to be something you're going to be able to get over by yourself, like, you know, because it's honestly as bad, if not worse. I would say just as equal with gaslighting, because it's a gaslighting tactic. It's equal with narcissism, because these people are narcissists, you know. And another thing too is, like, you know, you have to confront the breadcrumber. You have to confront the breadcrumber, you know. So don't be afraid of confrontation, you know, or nothing like that. You have to confront the breadcrumber, because if you don't, nothing's going to change. And what I mean by nothing's going to change, you're not going to get out of it. You're going to be stuck in a relationship thinking there's hope when there really isn't. You got to confront them, because when you confront them, you'll know by their actions and their behavior that their actions are extremely hurtful. You'll know that. And, you know, you got to end the relationship, obviously, is like what I talked about earlier, you know, and, you know, breadcrumbing is a very messed up way to treat somebody, you know, and they also will do it to have control over you as well, you know, and it's the same thing, like with the narcissism and, you know, the stuff in the Matrix and stuff, like, they will do it to have control over you. And, you know, it'll definitely result into you having like low self-esteem. It'll definitely like it's an intentional act. Like, you know, it's not non-intentional. It is intentional, you know, and it's just they'll make you feel like they'll get you hook, line, and sinker, basically, and you know, because your interest to them is some sort of validation. You know, that's all your interest is validation to them. You know, it's nothing more than that. And, you know, like I say all the time, you know, we can't deal with that kind of mess. We honestly can't. You know, so it's not really a straightforward answer, you know, but at the same time it is. So, you know, leave the relationship, honestly. Leave the relationship. You have to be the one to make a choice in the next step. It cannot be the breadcrumber, because, you know, if the breadcrumber just says, well, no, I'm not interested in you, you know, I found somebody else, you know, you're letting them get away with, you know, breadcrumbing. You're rewarding bad behavior. And, you know, you got to be the first one to do it. So you got to look for the signs. You have to look for the signs to where you can leave before they screw you over. And, you know, because, you know, like I said, you know, you're going to need some therapy. And I honestly mean that. You are going to need some therapy. And, you know, because everybody who's been breadcrumbed more than likely has been in therapy, even if they will not admit it, you know, because there's a lot of people who won't admit it, but, you know, I guarantee you they have been in therapy, because I've been in therapy before about it, you know, and, you know, and this can even happen in marriage too, like, you know, like if they're going to cheat on you and go out and find somebody else like that, you know, that is also breadcrumbing. It's not just cheating, but it is breadcrumbing. And it's just, yeah, it's not a good thing. It really isn't. It's all bad. Like it's just. Yeah, I agree. It's all bad. Yeah, that's what I just said. You know, like, yeah, honestly, watch out for that kind of stuff, because, you know, it's honestly ridiculous. Like, you know, a lot of people act like children when they're adults, like that. They can't take, you know, anything serious, you know, but, you know, you got to make a list of what you deserve, in a sense. And I'm not talking about no unrealistic expectations like these women do, or, you know, I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about, like, you know, common sense things, you know, obviously. And, you know, it can be, you know, kind of simple things even too, like, you know, kind of respond to my text messages, you know, that would be a start. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's honestly a bad way to be. It really is. Like, you know, obviously, obviously, most people who do breadcrumbing, to be honest, they get away with it. They get away with it. And, you know, it's like, at the same time, why would you let them get away with it? You know? Because if you're letting them get away with it, then you're only furthering the problem. You're only furthering the problem, and you know, you got to you really got to watch yourself, because, you know, another thing too, you know, with benching is there's so much uncertainty, you know, like with it. And you know, like how I was talking about like intimacy, like, you know, this person may show you casual intimacy. And what I mean by that, they may casually kiss you. There may be like some casual sex or something in it. There may be like some casual, you know, regularity, or possibly on occasion, possibly just to keep you interested, hook, line, and sinker, you know. But it's without any emotional commitment. You know, there's no emotions behind it. There's no... They honestly do not care. They really do not care about you and your needs and wants, you know. And it's like, you know, they will also do things like last minute plans as well. Like, you know, say like you're supposed to do something, and then it's like, you know, oh, well, no, I can't do that because I forgot, I got to do this, somebody want me to do this, or, you know, they'll make up some bullcrap lie, obviously, and, you know, you already know, like, it's a bunch of bull. Like, most of the time, you know that it's bull because, you know, that you're being stood up is what it is. You know, you're being stood up, and you are not gonna be able to change them. You're just not, you know, and, you know, they will not talk about their upcoming schedule with you, you know. It's very vague talk, and, you know, their behavior can definitely make you feel like you're uncertain of their interests and motives because, you know, until you know they're breadcrumbing you, you know, when you know they're breadcrumbing you, that's when you know, so, but yeah, I mean, I thought I would touch some stuff on this topic. I mean, there's a lot more that I'm going to talk about, but, you know, I honestly thought that I would touch upon this topic because, you know, it's not something good to deal with. It's really not. But, you know, I do plan on making like a part 2 to this. You know, I guess I plan on making a part 2 to a lot of stuff, but, yeah, I plan on making a part 2 to this because there's just so much. I'll talk a little bit more about it, though, you know, and then I'll probably, you know, do my next video that I plan on doing, because I got like three videos I'm about to do. But, yeah, you know, another thing, too, is like it's one-sided. It's always one-sided. Like, you know, you're wanting the affection, you're wanting the, like, you know, the kissing, you're wanting the whatever it is, kind of intimacy, but they do not. They only do it to keep you around, hook, line, and sinker, to keep you interested. You know, when all else falls through, they could be like, well, you know, yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, and then when someone comes, it's the same thing. They will breadcrumb you again, you know, and it's a very sick way to be, honestly. But yeah, like, you know, it's just all kind of like casual affection, casual intimacy, you know, and if that's honestly the case, you know, it's not worth it. You know, you got to tell this person no, obviously, and it's just, they're very pathetic, you know, they're very pathetic, and it's just, yeah, it's just ridiculousness, it's childishness, it's selfishness, and, you know, the thing is like, you know, people will bench others sometimes just so they don't feel alone, you know, and it's like, you know, I've never done that. Like, I don't just bench someone because I'm alone. Like, you know, and I hate being alone, but, you know, like, there's no point. Like, if I'm just not interested in you, I'm just not interested. Like, you know, like I said, thank the good Lord I'm out of the dating pool, you know, since I'm married, but, you know, it's honestly ridiculousness. It really is, you know. and they will always be like, I see this stuff all the time, you know, these videos, and it's 99% of the time women, to be honest. Like, you know, I mean, there's men who do it, yes, but you know, it is mostly women who honestly do this. You know, what I'm fixing to say is, I've seen countless men get on there and talk, and then someone just random off YouTube or something will interview them. And then there'll be like, you know, well, how long have y'all been together? You know, they'll start talking to them, and they'll be like, oh, so long. And they'll be like, they'll ask the man first, like, you know, do you trust her, you know? And he'll be like, yeah, you know. And then, you know, he'll ask the woman the same thing, and she'll be like, yeah. And then she'll be like, well, you know, would you, she goes, and then he'll ask the man, would you be comfortable, you know, with letting him see your phone? Would you be comfortable, you know, if we use this program to see if you're on any dating apps? And it's like the moment this happens, 99% of them fold. 99% of them will be like, no, I don't want to do that. No, there's no necessary to do that. You know, some of them will do it and then embarrass themselves even more when they found out they are on dating sites. But, you know, it's like every time they act that way, they're on it. They are on it. And I have seen countless videos of this on YouTube. Countless videos. I've seen countless videos of this on social media. Like, you know, it just does not stop. It does not end. And, you know, that's the thing. These people, when they're using these dating apps, they stay on the dating app. They do not, most people do not delete it. And, you know, all it's going to cause, it's going to cause some stress. You know, a lot of stress, because, you know, you know, they may already have a lot going on already with work and personal life and stuff, you know, and then the next minute, you know, they're being breadcrumbed. I'm sorry. But yeah, they're being breadcrumbed. And I kind of laugh about it a little bit because the term, you know, makes me laugh. But seriously, in all seriousness, though, you know, it's just, it's not fun. You know, it's a very miserable way to live, to be honest. And it's just, it's not cool, you know. And I'll tell you another thing too. It's also going to cause like a lot of saturation, because, you know, this person who's dating the breadcrumber, they're going to be overwhelmed. They are going to be overwhelmed. You know, and you probably heard me like laugh twice in this video. The reason I'm doing it is because I've been through it, you know. And, you know, after you've done it, you kind of got to just laugh it off, because, you know, it's like, you know, how could I be so dumb to fall for that? Like, you know, but, you know, and I'll tell you another thing. These people, they have like narcissistic personalities, you know, egotistic personalities, you know, self-esteem issues, or whatever it is, you know. And not all people with self-esteem issues do this, you know, but they can have a slew of emotional issues. And I'll tell you, one of the main reasons they do this is for lack of empathy. Because, you know, you've heard me talk about empathy a lot on this channel. And that is something that most people are lacking. The middle class lack empathy. I talk about that all the time. You know, but, you know, it's not just exclusive to the middle class. You know, I would say that other people have more empathy than they do, but, you know, it's like they don't have any. And, you know, if you're breadcrumbing somebody, you know, you do not have empathy on the person you are breadcrumbing, you know. And it's also a lack of awareness, too, you know, of that, too. Like, you know, you don't even care. Like, you know, it's just, you know, and benching is not necessarily quite the same as ghosting. Like, in a nutshell, it's not. Partially it is, partially it's not, you know. So,
you have to stop that from securing the mission
it's just, you know, it's ridiculousness. It really honestly is. And like I say, and you'll do, I'll tell you another thing that you will do. If you have been breadcrumbed, you will have a lot of self-blame. You really will. And, you know, because I know that firsthand. Like, you will blame yourself that you were breadcrumbed. Like, that's honestly what you will do. Like, you know, when you're, you know, trying to initialize, you know, I mean, and internalize another person's behavior about that, you know, and then you find out, oh, you know, you're being treated some type of way, like, you know, and you find out you've been breadcrumbed, like, yeah, it's going to make you angry. You know, it's obviously going to make you angry because, you know, that is not a good way to be, you know. And these people are proud of it too. That's another problem. These people are honestly proud of them breadcrumbing. They really are. Like, you know, they will brag and boast about it with their friends. Oh, I got, like, you know, 9 options, you know, like, and like most of those 9 options are not interested. They're just, you know, kind of just probably trying to get something out of the woman, or, you know, the woman's trying to get something out of the man. But, you know, it's all just ridiculousness, you know. It can make you feel helpless too, you know, and it's going to make you feel a lot of unhappiness, you know, and it's just you can't let them get away with it, you know. You got to put your foot down, leave them alone, leave the relationship, let them, you know, show them, you know, I'm not going to be breadcrumbed, you know, show them you are not going to be benched, show them you are not going to be cushioned. You know, because if you don't, you know, they're going to see it that you're weak. And they're going to keep doing it. They're like, well, I'm going to keep doing this, you know. But you got to set boundaries. That's another thing. You have to set boundaries, you know, about it. You got to speak up. Let them know, you know, regardless if they care or not. You know, you got to say what you're wanting. You know, that you're wanting to settle down and whatnot, and, you know, they obviously don't, and, you know, they're not worth nothing about a relationship if they're not wanting to settle down. I can promise you that now. And it's just, you know, and I'm sure probably, you know, someone probably will ask me, you know, will they ever commit to you if they benched you or breadcrumbed you? And the answer, there's one answer: no, they will not. You know, it's just, it's not going to happen. They are not going to commit to you unless this scenario, maybe maybe possibly if they run out of options. But, you know, in the end, they will cheat and breadcrumb you again. They really will, you know. Because, you know, they're stringing you along, and, you know, they're leading you on. You know, you got to be honest, you know, and, you know, the Bible and the Lord says to be honest, you know, and you got to focus on what you're needing out of the relationship, you know, settle down. You got to settle down, you know, like, if they're not wanting to settle down with you, you know, you got to be the one to bounce, you know, not them. And, you know, because that's the thing, they're wanting something from you, and it's not going to happen. Like, it's honestly really not. And but, you know, one more thing one more thing I'll say before I end the video about breadcrumbing is, honestly, you know, you got to learn how to play your cards right. You know, and if you've been breadcrumbed, don't go and breadcrumb someone, you know, because all it does is create drama. You know, the Matrix it thrives off drama. You know, just like these middle class, they thrive off drama because they are part of the Matrix. And, you know, it's just not, you know, if you're not interested, just say you're not interested, you know, just be honest. But, you know, Yeah, that kind of pretty much does it, I guess, for this video on breadcrumbing. I will do a part 2 to this sometime in the future. I don't really know when, because, there's just so much I'm wanting to talk about on this channel. But, if you like the stuff that I'm talking about, or you maybe have a suggestion about something, feel free to comment it. Feel free to say it if you're watching in the chat. Feel free to tell me about it, because, if it's a topic that I know about, I'll honestly talk about it. So, as long as it's, not anything like bad, like, if you get what I'm saying, but, these topics I'm talking about are bad, yes, but you know what I'm saying, like, it's got to be in the confines of YouTube, in other words, and, yeah, I mean, that pretty much concludes, this part of my video on breadcrumbing, and, but, I will tell you one more thing, actually, these people who do this, they are often sociopaths. I will say that before I end the video. They are sociopaths. They are narcissists. They are manipulators. They do this to gain control over you, to gain power over you. And, it's just, it's a sad world we live in, really. Over here, I mean, I don't know about a lot of places other in the world. I mean, I'm sure this goes on in a lot of other places, everywhere. I'm pretty dang certain. But,
Only 60 seconds left.
be vigilant, and then pay attention to who you let in. Obviously, don't let just anybody in, because, if you're trying to find a person who's going to serve the Lord and stuff, they're not going to breadcrumb you. They're not going to breadcrumb you, but it's just manipulation. That's all it is. It's manipulation, and like I say all the time, we do not conform to the stuff in the Matrix. You got to take off the rose-colored glasses and to see the red flags, because it's an unhealthy relationship. You got to spread awareness on this topic as well. So, share the video as well. But, yeah, I mean, this pretty much concludes it, honestly. So, God bless, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one.